Hello, I'm Bill Modro, and I'm head of special collections and university archives here at Miami University. And I want to welcome everyone as we celebrate Ohio Archives Month with today's presentation from Studio 14 to Seinfeld, Rick Ludwin's journey from Miami University to NBC. First, I'd like to thank all those involved in the presentation, especially Jackie Johnson, Miami University archivist, Sean Van Ness, communications specialist here, and JJ Slager, Director of Alumni Relations. And I do want to recognize our co-sponsor, Miami University's Alumni Association. Before I introduce our speaker, I'd like to read Miami University's land acknowledgement and the library statement on racism. Miami University is located within the traditional homelands of the Miami and Shawnee people, who, along with other indigenous groups, ceded these lands to the United States in the first Treaty of Greenville in 1795. The Miami people, whose name our university carries, were forcibly removed from these homelands in 1846. In 1972, a relationship between Miami University and the Miami Tribe of Oklahoma began and evolved into a reciprocal partnership, including the creation of the Miami Center at Miami University in 2001. The work of the Miami Center serves the Miami Tribe community and is dedicated to the revitalization of the Miami language and the culture and to restoring that knowledge to the Miami people. Miami University and the Miami Tribe are proud of this work and of the more than 140 Miami students who have attended Miami University since 1991 through the Miami Heritage Award Program. Miami University's library statement on racism. The libraries are a welcoming, inclusive, and safe resource for every person in the community. We believe that Black Lives Matter, racism, violence, discrimination, oppression, and hatred are antithetical to our values, mission, and fundamental humanity, and will not be tolerated in any libraries, affiliated spaces, or services. We at the libraries must continue to listen, learn, and better understand injustice and the experience of others in order to truly be welcoming and inclusive resource for all. And we are dedicated to doing the work necessary to be better allies of and advocates for the victims of injustice. Now it's my honor to introduce our speaker. Candace Pine is the Rare Books and Manuscripts Librarian here at Miami University. Walter Haverhurst Special Collections and University Archives. She earned her bachelor's degree in creative writing from Western Michigan University and received her Master of Library and Information Science degree from Kent State University. In her current position, Candace focuses on cataloging rare books as well as processing manuscript collections, some that are donated to the archives, particularly some notable alumni such as former Ohio Congressman Gene Krebs, former House Speaker Paul Ryan, and of course, Rick Ludwin. Her professional interests also include amplifying the voices of people from traditionally underrepresented communities in the archives, as well as finding ways to incorporate DEI principles into the everyday workings of libraries and archives. We welcome questions, comments, and any stories about Rick that you want to share. Put into the Ask a Question box. We'll answer questions at the end and share these. And also a recording of this presentation will be available on the alumni webinar site. Okay, please join me in welcoming Candace Pine.
Thank you, Bill, for the introduction. I really appreciate that. And let me go ahead. I'll get my presentation up here. All right. Here we go. All right, so hello everyone. Thank you all so much for being here today. I'm very excited to have this opportunity to talk about Rick Ludwin and to show you some of the fantastic materials that we have in his collection at the archives. I've had a lot of fun processing some of these materials that Ludwin has donated to us over the years, while also getting to learn a little bit about him and his exciting career. Now, speaking of archives and archival collections, I wanted to mention as well, Bill mentioned it also, but mentioned that October is National Archives Month. And I know that October is nearly over now, but we can still celebrate today. So I just wanted to show you, these are a couple of lovely advertisements for Archives Month that were created both at the national level and at the state level. On the left is a graphic that was created by the Society of American Archivists to promote this month's celebration. And on the right is a poster that was created by the Society of Ohio Archivists. And now the Society of Ohio Archivists, they take things a step further, and they also pick a specific theme for Archives Month every year. And for 2022, the theme is Ohio's healthcare workers, the true heart of it all. And the fun thing about the photos that you see on this poster is that they all come from different archives around Ohio. And also, any archivists working in Ohio who wanted to do so, we were able to vote on the photos that were included on the poster. So that's just a nice, fun, collaborative effort there. But what is Archives Month? Basically, this means that during the month of October, archivists from all over the country like to celebrate archives and make an extra special effort to do things such as increase the general public's awareness of archival materials and archival centers, to inspire persons and organizations with records of enduring value to properly preserve those materials for posterity, to strengthen ties with regular archive users, and to introduce new and potential users to archival centers and the documentary heritage found there. So that's partly the goal of my presentation today, is to introduce those of you who may not be familiar with the university's Archives and Special Collections Department to what our collections can be like by showing you some of the fun and interesting things from one of our collections. And I also hope that this presentation will give you a chance to reminisce about the things you see in the materials, those things might remind you of, as well as reminisce about a friend or classmate for those of you who may have known or went to school with Rick Ludwin. Now, I wasn't fortunate enough to get to meet Rick Ludwin face to face before he passed away, but I did speak with him on the phone once and exchange a few emails with him. And I was certainly able to see why anyone else in the department who did get the chance to meet him always spoke very highly of him. And I hope that anyone here, as Bill mentioned as well, I hope that anyone who knew him and you want to share maybe a fun story about him, please do that in the chat. Feel free to put that in as my presentation's going on, or you can wait and do it at the end. But on that note, we're going to go ahead and dive in. So first, we're going to talk a little bit about Ludwin's early life. So Rick Ludwin was born in Cleveland, Ohio, and he attended Rocky River High School in Rocky River, Ohio. And then he attended Miami University, where he earned his Bachelor of Arts degree in speech in 1970. And after that, he went on to earn his Master of Arts degree at Northwestern University. But of course, to start off, I'm going to focus more on Ludwin's time at Miami University. However, I do want to give just a quick shout out to Ludwin's work on his 50th high school reunion CD. We have a copy of this CD in the archives, along with a letter that was written by a member of the reunion committee to, I believe it was Ludwin's brother. And the letter details the hard work that Ludwin put into filling the CD with recordings from the school, which were made back in the 60s. And apparently the CD was a huge hit at the reunion, which is really wonderful. And as of right now, this is pretty much the only item in the collection that we have from Ludwin's high school days, although more is going to be coming later. But that's why I wanted to give it just a little bit of a shout out here right now. All right, so let's talk about Studio 14. During his college days, Ludwin worked on and eventually became the host of Studio 14, which was a variety comedy show that was aired on Miami's WMUB TV station. And what's really impressive is that this show was completely student run. Ludwin and his fellow classmates wrote, produced, directed, and starred in the live show. And here you can see an example of what one of the script pages for an episode of Studio 14 looked like. And this particular page does include some notes that Ludwin made on it. And then these Studio 14 scripts were later, they were all bound together into two nice volumes with these really nice leather covers. And so that's what you see on the right side there. That's the cover of one of those, and it's got Ludwin's name there stamped in the bottom right corner. All right, and we also have recordings of the live episodes of Studio 14, which you can see on this slide, come in a variety of formats. So there are tapes, CDs, there's even a DVD, and we also have some CD recordings of the WMUB radio program that Ludwin was involved with as well. And even better, you can find video recordings of Studio 14 in the digital collections on our website. And those can be viewed at any time online. And I've put a link to our online WMUB archives. It's there at the bottom of the screen in case anyone wants to go and check those out. But right now, I want to share this video clip with you. This episode of Studio 14 aired on, January 25th, 1968. And it was the first time that Ludwin appeared as the host of the show. So let's take a look. And the audio for this clip, I will say, it does start off a little bit quiet in the beginning, but it's going to get louder after a moment. So please just bear with me for a second there.
And now here's your host for Studio 14, Rick Ludwin.
Said before, I have stood in front of cameras 3 and 4 before. All at once, am I quite a lucky guy? Starting now, I'm the host of the show. Is my microphone turned up loud or soft? Does my makeup look okay, or should I take it off? It will be no chore for me to joke some more, now that I am the host of the show. And oh, that shattering feeling that tonight, as host I'll debut. That weird teeth-chattering feeling as I stand off camera waiting for my cue. Though you folks may stare, it won't fluster me. But if we don't shine tonight, where will the luster be? I will do my best and enjoy the rest, now that I am the host of the show. Now that I am the host of the show. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Now here's your host.
Wasn't that wonderful? I was so excited when I found this video. I really loved getting to hear him sing. And then I have another video clip here that I'd like to show you. This is also kind of a special episode of Studio 14 for Ludwin because his father was in the audience. And he even got to make a quick little appearance during Ludwin's opening monologue. So let's take a look at this.
Thank you. Oh, boy, thank you very much. A large thank you. We got critics already. Thank you very much. These are good. I'll get them later. Welcome to Studio 14. We are now moved to Wednesday night, by the way, for all of you people who tuned in Monday and expecting to see us. We're now on Wednesdays. Thank you for moving to Wednesday. We have a large group of teachers from the same school or all different places. All of you at once. Just tell me which school you're from. You're from... They're all from Pleasanton. Well, it's nice to have you all here. We have a good show for you tonight. We have pilot Terry Peters, who's going to talk about the air traffic control problem. We're going to do a takeoff on one of my favorite shows called Great Moments in Music. You've seen them all, these little 15-minute shows where you can buy fantastic bargains and recorded music, and some other interesting things. I'd like to introduce, though, it's not often I have this pleasure, really. My dad is down in Dayton, Ohio. We're all from Cleveland, and he came down to Dayton, Ohio for a convention of the Ohio Recreation Directors Association, right? Would you welcome, please, my dad, Dan Ludwin, who came down. Come on. How do you like the show so far?
I think you're just great, Rick.
Good. You can take the cue card away. Thank you.
Wasn't that fun? I think it is so great that he got to have that little moment with his father on the show. All right, but it's time to move on from Miami University and talk about how Ludwin got his career started in the live television business. So Ludwin began working for Bob Kennedy in Chicago. In 1972, Ludwin was named an associate producer of WLS TV's Kennedy and Company, which was announced in the newspaper clipping that you see on the left side. Then later he was upped from associate producer to producer for both Kennedy and Company and Kennedy at Night. And that was announced in the news clipping you see in the middle of the screen. Plus you can see Ludwin's business card for those two shows in the upper right corner as well. Then in 1974, Bob Kennedy announced that he would be leaving his late night Kennedy at Night program. And Ludwin was one of the people who got to try out on air for the host position to replace Kennedy. Unfortunately, that didn't pan out for Ludwin, but we do have recordings of the episode that Ludwin guest hosted. So Ludwin's episode of Kennedy at Night aired on October 2nd, 1974. And we have that episode on tape, as you can see here. And it's also been migrated to a DVD as well, which means you could come to the archive to see it anytime you wanted to. We also have some fun photos of Ludwin in action during his time working in Chicago. On the left, we have a photo of Ludwin on the set of Kennedy at Night. This was taken on September 19th, 1972, and he's right in the middle of the back row there. And the other folks you see in the photo are George Hahn, Jim Tuverson, Janie Garner, and of course, Bob Kennedy. And we also have a photo from the set of a show called Midnight. It was filmed in Studio A at ABC Chicago. And Ludwin did some work as a producer for this live show as well. And you can see him, he's there on the left side of the frame, and he's speaking to the host, John Coleman. And on the right there is Bob Hope, who was the special guest on the show that day. And it looks like they were working on some kind of skit involving golf, as Coleman is holding a golf club, and there are a number of golf balls scattered on the floor. Later, by 1975, Ludwin found himself working in Detroit. He was working at WXYZ TV Detroit, where he produced a show called AM Detroit. And we have another great photo of him here. He's right in the middle of the group, and alongside him are Dennis Holey and Shirley Eder. All right. Then Ludwin's next big opportunity came in the form of the Mike Douglas Show. So Ludwin became a producer on the Mike Douglas Show, which was a live variety talk series, and that was right up Ludwin's alley. And his appointment as producer was announced in the press release that you see over on the left side there. And we also have other documents in the collection relating to Ludwin's everyday work for the Mike Douglas Show, and you can see some examples of that here on the screen as well. I particularly like the copy of the memo in the middle there. It shows that Ludwin had his own personalized letterhead while he was working for the show. And in addition to Ludwin's personal work papers, he also donated a number of other materials related to the Mike Douglas Show, which are also a lot of fun. So we have some great behind the scenes materials related to the show. This includes things like these couple of ticket stubs. Here, these were from episodes of the show that were filmed in Hollywood, California and Las Vegas, Nevada, which you see on the left and right sides respectively. And one item that I particularly like is this script, which you see in the middle here. This was for an episode of The Mike Douglas Show, which was filmed on June 21st, 1977. And in this episode of the show, Mike Douglas had some special guests on to promote the first, and at the time brand new, Star Wars film. So Carrie Fisher, Mark Hamill, and Harrison Ford were all guests on this episode. And I happen to be a big Star Wars fan, so seeing this script page was a lot of fun for me. But we also have a lot of other great stuff related to the Mike Douglas Show in our Rick Ludwin collection at the archives. This includes, we've got a number of photographs like these, which feature Mike Douglas in action in front of the camera. And this is him appearing with a few different guest stars who were on the show. So here you see the likes of people such as Bob Hope, Carl Reiner, who got caught pulling a silly face in this photo, and also the Fonz himself, Henry Winkler. And I really enjoyed looking through these photographs we've got from the show. It looks like it was such a fun time. All right, but then Ludwin made it to the big time, working for NBC. So How did he get there? Well, during his time working in Chicago television, Ludwin met and impressed Brandon Tartikoff, who soon after was appointed the president of NBC Entertainment. So Tartikoff then offered Ludwin the position of director of variety programs at NBC in 1980. Then by 1983, Ludwin was promoted to vice president for specials and variety programs. Then in 1989, he was named senior vice president for specials, variety programs, and late night. And later on in 2005, Ludwin was promoted to executive vice president for late night and primetime series. That's pretty impressive, right? And in speaking of his career at NBC, Ludwin was once quoted as saying, "I thought I'd be here for a year and be fired or would leave out of frustration. And here I am all these years later. It worked out pretty well," end quote. And I would say it certainly worked out well indeed. Now, Ludwin oversaw many television specials during his tenure at NBC, and some of those early specials are featured here on this slide. They included things like TV censored bloopers, which was hosted by Dick Clark, and you can see a promotional photo of him there on the left side. There was also the 20th anniversary of Sesame Street, which was called Sesame Street 20 Years and Still Counting. We have a taped recording of that special, and the tape is pictured at the lower part of the screen right next to that Dick Clark photo. There was another special called the Jim Henson Hour, The Secrets of the Muppets, which we also have on tape. There's a photo of that in the bottom right corner there. There's also a special called New and Improved, Television's Greatest Commercials, which was hosted by Ed McMahon and Mariette Hartley, and that's them in the photograph that you see in the upper right corner. And we also have an example of an NBC press release there in the middle of the slide, which announced the list of specials that NBC had coming up for the 1985 through 1986 season. Some of those specials included specials that were hosted by Johnny Carson, Bob Hope, and Smokey Robinson. And there was also a special for the American Film Institute Lifetime Achievement Award. So I'd say Ludwin certainly got to work on many interesting specials for NBC, and that was just the beginning. Ludwin also supervised many anniversary specials for NBC over the years. This included NBC's 60th and 75th anniversary telecasts, the 10th anniversary of The Tonight Show with Jay Leno, and the 25th anniversary of Saturday Night Live, and the special Motown 25, Yesterday, Today, Forever. And that was a celebration of Motown's 25th year. And just a quick fun fact about Motown 25, that special included the now iconic performance by Michael Jackson of his song Billie Jean. This was the first time that Jackson performed what would become his most famous signature move, the moonwalk. In fact, his concert performances of Billie Jean in the years after Motown 25 were always based on his performance in that special, from the opening pose with the fedora and the black sequin jacket and the glove to the moonwalk routine in the song's bridge. I think that's pretty cool, right? All right, something else that Ludwin helped oversee for NBC were some of the big award programs, including the Screen Actors Guild Awards, Golden Globe Awards, and the Emmy Awards. And you can see here in the right in the middle of the screen that Ludwin got an Emmy certificate himself. This was for the 1994 through 95 Primetime Emmy Awards, and it was given to Ludwin to honor his contributions to the Emmy Award-winning program for Outstanding Variety, Music, or Comedy Series, which was awarded to The Tonight Show with Jay Leno. So I thought that was pretty cool when I came across it in this collection. And it was certainly interesting to see the programs from these various award shows as well, some of which you can see here on the screen. I never really knew that they handed out programs like these at those events. So that was just a neat discovery for me personally as well. All right, next let's talk about some of the many shows that Ludwin helped produce during his time at NBC. So Ludwin is actually credited with the success of a number of series, such as The Tonight Show with Jay Leno, Late Night with Conan O'Brien, Late Night with Jimmy Fallon, Saturday Night Live, Unsolved Mysteries, and Seinfeld. Furthermore, in addition to serving as an executive on those many successful NBC programs, Ludwin also made a few cameo appearances on Seinfeld, Saturday Night Live, Late Night with Conan O'Brien, and alongside comedian Bob Hope. I think that's pretty amazing, right? And as a result, we have got scripts from a number of those shows in this Rick Ludwin collection at the archives. So you can see scripts here on the screen. These are from Late Night with David Letterman, The Tonight Show with Jay Leno, Late Night with Jimmy Fallon, and Late Night with Conan O'Brien, plus The Tonight Show with Conan O'Brien. And I particularly like the Conan O'Brien scripts there on the right side. They have some fun little drawings on the front that I thought were really neat. But of course, the big show is Seinfeld. Ludwin had a huge hand in it. Basically, there would be no Seinfeld if it weren't for Rick Ludwin. He commissioned the pilot, he took money out of his specials budget to keep the show alive, and he oversaw the program for its entire run. And here on the screen, you can see the evolution of Seinfeld over the years. On the very left side, you can see that the title of the show actually started off as stand-up. And I'm not entirely sure whose handwriting that is, but in red ink in the middle of the page, it says maybe start with stand-up, which you may know is something that they ended up doing on the show. And then on the cover of the next script over, you can see that the title was changed to The Seinfeld Chronicles before it was finally shortened to just Seinfeld. And so those other two photos on the right side, those are a couple of scripts we have in the archive that were signed and cast. So the one with the black cover is from an episode called The Contest, and then the one on the right with the silver cover is from the finale. And I think these scripts are pretty great, and they're always a big hit with people when they see them out on display when they come to the archives. And throughout his career, Ludwin's connections to his alma mater, Miami University, definitely remained strong. He visited the campus regularly to give talks to students in the media journalism and film department. Furthermore, thanks to his professional connections in the entertainment industry, Miami University was able to secure campus appearances by stars such as Bob Hope and Jay Leno. And speaking of the lectures that Ludwin gave on campus, we have recordings of many of them. As you can see here, we have them in a number of different formats. This includes a variety of different kinds of tapes, as well as DVDs. And these are pretty fantastic. They give a little more insight into Ludwin's career, especially his time at NBC. Hence, you'll see that the titles of some of these talks are things like Who I Am, What I Do at NBC, Lazy Sunday and the NBC Late Night Digital Revolution, Late Night Transition, and NBC Late Night Update. But Ludwin didn't only visit our media journalism and film department. In 2013 in particular, Ludwin came to our very own special collections and archives department, where he discussed his experiences working on Studio 14 when he was a student. And we still have this great poster from the event, which is what you see on the right side there. That was how we were promoting the event when he came to speak with us. And Miami University wanted to honor Ludwin for all of his service to the university, as well as his many accomplishments in the broadcast television field. So on March 19th, 2019, the Williams Hall TV studio that's located on campus, the place where Ludwin began his career by hosting Studio 14, was named the Rick Ludwin Studio in his honor. And here you can see a photograph of Ludwin that was taken during that dedication ceremony of that TV studio, which I just think is really lovely. All right, and with that, I want to say thank you, but I also want to tell you to stay tuned. Some more of Ludwin's materials were sent to us by his family after he recently passed away, and we're still working on adding those materials to our existing collection. So the Rick Ludwin collection at the archives is going to continue to grow. We're going to be adding a lot of AV materials to the collection, plus some other things like some more photographs of Ludwin, some of his correspondence, some more materials from his high school years, and more. So please feel free to check back in with us as we work on making those new materials available to the public. And now please feel free to ask any questions that you may have, or if anyone has any stories about Ludwin that they want to share, I would really love to hear them. So please feel free to share those as well.
Thank you, Candace. Again, reminding everyone to submit your questions or comments. And we do have some questions in there. We have this wonderful comment from Jen Ludwin, class of '08. I just wanted to thank you for putting this on as an extended family member of Rick. I'm excited to hear about how you'll keep his legacy impact going. Thank you, Jen. It was a pleasure knowing Rick, and we're excited to have the rest of his materials. And obviously, he's sadly missed by us. I do have a question when we get going. Is there anything in the video or materials from his younger years that hint at his later success?
Yeah, so I know we don't have as much materials from his later years. As I mentioned, we only have a little bit from his high school years. But mostly, I think you can even tell from, what we saw from when he was working on Studio 14, when he's going to Miami, just, the kind of like love and dedication that he had for doing this like live television, I think is really clear from earlier on. So I think that love and passion just kept him going and, made him work really hard and continue to, pursue a career in the field and just, make greater and greater strides until he got up to working to, a big company like NBC. So I think it was really great to see how he, rose through the ranks and got to, I think, a really great place in his career.
Excellent. Here's another question came in. Thank you so much for your questions. I was a member of Studio 14 during his first year. I'm wondering how Rick's development as a comedian came about in subsequent in the remaining years. Pardon me on that one.
Yeah, that's so great. It's so fun to hear that there's someone who was doing Studio 14 with Ludwin here. That's amazing. And again, kind of as I was saying, his development as a comedian, I think it just came from, from doing the work. Like he said, he progressed from working in Chicago and Detroit, and he was producing, but he was also doing some writing for those shows. Writing jokes for Bob Hope and things like that. So I think he just, was fortunate enough to be able to, get in the door at these places and get a lot of great experience, and that's what got him to, be able to go from position to position and work his way all the way up to NBC and everything. So I just think he just, put in the work and was really dedicated, and a lot of great things came from it.
Excellent. Here's, are the archives open to the public? Are there certain hours?
Yes. Yeah, our archives were open to the public for sure. We're located inside King Library on campus. We're up on the 3rd floor, and we're open Monday through Friday from 8 to 5. So we do have a system online. You can make an appointment to come in, or we also allow you to just, drop in and walk in. And, if there's things you want to look at from the Rick Ludwin collection, we're happy to pull that out. Or if there's, anything else that you want to see, from the university or just from our general special collections, we're happy to bring out as much stuff as you want to look at and share it with you. So yes, please feel free to come and see us.
Excellent. So here's a good question. Is it possible to watch one of his visits, specifically one while I was a student there that I saw in the images? So I'm assuming they must mean maybe one of his lectures or one of his presentations.
Yeah, we do have, some of the lectures from when he was here. We had some of those. I'm not sure if the ones that are on tape, if we have all of the correct materials to play those tapes, but I know a lot of them have been migrated to like CDs and DVDs and things like that. So yeah, as long as we have, the equipment needed, you can come into the archive and you can view those or listen to those recordings in the archive. Absolutely.
Excellent. Thank you, Candace. Here's a very interesting one. An incredible Miamian who also influenced the creation of Inside Hollywood, which allows current students to learn about the entertainment industry. What did he say was his greatest achievement? If you've known.
Oh, I'm not sure. What he. It's hard to put those kinds of words into his mouth. but I would certainly say his whole career seems like a pretty incredible achievement. He started from, just a student-run thing all the way up to a big executive position at NBC. So I'm sure he was certainly proud of where his career took him.
Excellent. Okay, this is a little bit longer one, but it's a great questions in there. All right, thank you for submitting the comments, questions,
Thank you.
and sharing stories. Are any of the materials in the Rick Ludwin archive able to be viewed online, or is it only available in person at Miami? Okay, where are we located? Excellent question. I graduated Miami a few years after Rick, but never crossed paths at MU. I was too close to his time as a student to benefit from his lectures. I met him years later at a Miami Inside Hollywood event here in LA. Ooh, that was interesting.
Oh,
To hear about that.
wonderful.
Anyway, sorry, you got those?
Yeah. So, as I was saying, all of the materials in the Rick Ludwin collection, they are available to be viewed in person. The majority of them are in person. Most that you can do online, the best is like those Studio 14 recordings. Those are already up on our digital collections website. But I think that's pretty much all that we have digitized as of right now. I mean, of course, ideally we'd like to have more, but for now, mostly you would have to come in person in the archive. Or if you want to contact us, if there's something specific that you want to look at, you can, contact us, and we could go in and, scan something and, just send you the images if, you're not local, if it's not easier for you to come. So yeah, we can scan things and send you things as well. And yeah, where they're located, like I said, we're located on campus in King Library up on the 3rd floor.
Candace, what kind of correspondence do we have between the stars that Rick interacted with over the years, between, letters, things like that? Did he keep track of many of those?
I don't think we've received a lot of his correspondence. I know there's some more correspondence with some of the stuff that was donated more recently that hasn't been all added to the collection yet. So I'm hoping there is more of that correspondence in that stuff that we're going to be adding here in the near future. But yeah, I think more of the correspondence that we have currently in the collection is more kind of the administrative side of things, like how you saw like his memo and things like that. So a little bit more on the administrative side for now, but hopefully there's going to be more with the new stuff coming in.
I love someone shared a sentiment which really describes Rick was so generous with his time. When I was a mass communication major at Miami, he was always so gracious and kind despite his high level of success. And I will reiterate that. He always visited us in the archives and talked about the materials. Just so nice, just wonderful. Oh, there we go. Here's another question, Candace. Are there exceptional Miamians whose archive collections are in the works?
Oh yeah, we have. We get donations from alumni all the time. So the Rick Ludwin collection is one of the first ones that I was most fortunate enough to get to work with. A couple of other things that I personally worked on. We had some materials donated from Paul Ryan, the former Speaker of the House. Another one I'm currently working on is a collection by Gene Krebs. He was a politician here in Ohio. And yeah, we've got a lot of fun stuff. So certainly feel free to, explore our archives. We have, on our website, we have a whole catalog you can search through, and you can see all the different sort of donations from alumni and people, connected to the university, faculty and staff as well, also donate materials to us.
Excellent, thank you. Any more questions? Give another minute or two. And there are a lot of, all Miamians are exceptional. But we do have some of what Candace says, we do have some other collections of that stuff we're working on. It's outstanding. So I'm just giving you all a few more seconds for any questions or comments or stories you want to share.
Yeah, feel free to share stories if anybody has one.
Okay, well then we'll thank you for your time. And again, reminding the recording of this will be available on the alumni webinar site, Alumni Association webinar site in the next few days. So again, thank you all for attending. Thank you, Candace Pine.
Thank you
Everybody
all
have
so
a
much for
wonderful
coming.
day. Bye now.